Then this is Wilbert Cook, Monday night, setting a program for hand-up recovery homes. We're out. Our primary goal is to help people recover from alcoholism, substance abuse, and any other mental health challenges that may come with those issues, as well as those that are dual diagnosed, polydiagnosed, and we really try to help people recover their health as well as recover from the addiction. And our main goal is to change lives in order to save families. Mm-hmm. That's our main goal, changing the lives of struggling people, in particular those addicted, who also oftentimes are ex-offenders. Mm-hmm. But we also love sharing issues on how we all can improve our quality of living. So I invited back one of my greatest advocates for people in housing, with helping with new tenant laws, but especially helping poor people, middle class people, own their own homes, as well as be able to maintain them, create equity in which they can help their family and/or invest in other properties and help others have a better place to live. So she's known to help homeowners own their home and even move into learning how to be investors in the community. And she's helped a few developers along the way and trying to help create a few more. So without further ado, Phylis Logan, you want to tell us about how great your advocacy as well as your helping people buy, purchase homes, stay in those homes, create equity, start out with equity.
I've been blessed to be in the position that I am, to have acquired the knowledge that I needed, but also able to share with compassion how this is important to all of us. There's nothing better than having a solid roof over your head, a safe place to you and your family to lay your head down, place to be warm, secure within your own space. And whether that's renting or it's a shelter or it's your home, we want you to be safe in those spaces, in those environments. To make you a better person. I think when you're happy within your home and you're comfortable within that space, you think better. You're able to move forward in a positive way. So housing for me has just always been that space where I knew we needed to communicate to many within our communities.
Okay, thank you for that. And I know we oftentimes you have helped work on several bills throughout the state of Illinois to help people maintain homes, be able to sometimes sell their homes at market rate or even sometimes better than market, and even help save people from developers and development coming through. I know one of the major initiatives I was on was regarding the new United Center, where they pushed out a lot of 50-year homeowners for a little or nothing. And I mean, literally, they, before eminent domain, they did what we call unsavory and ruthless stuff. The government colluded with the rich people that own the United Center, the Reinsdorfs and Wart's family that own the Blackhawks, and they helped them lowball all them African American homeowners. And then people in city government friendly to the Bulls and the Blackhawks organization then sent city inspectors and others to cite all these struggling homeowners that were senior citizens or just poor trying to maintain a home, and cite them for all kind of city code violations that they knew they couldn't afford to pay, which then forced them to give up their homes. Later, a group of community members and pastors got together called Interfaith Organizing Project. Dr. Arthur Griffin, Dr. Redicall from the Catholic Church, our pastor Basil Foley at Carriage Center AME Church. There was another gentleman, the name eludes me, pastor over on Monroe, passed a couple years ago. Then George Daniels was the assistant to Pastor Griffin, who now is the pastor down the street here about a half a mile at about a mile at First Congregational Baptist Church on Ashland and Washington, which is a historical church throughout history in Chicago, especially for African Americans and political and economic leadership. They helped change that landscape, got the last 10 holdouts substantially more, like 200,000 per home, and then they got a replacement housing that was started out at a value about 250, which we mentioned in an earlier segment, with a rental unit on the second floor.
Yes.
Or whichever the homeowner chooses.
Or on the lower level.
Lower level. You could. A homeowner had a 2-level home with a separate entrance way to the second floor, so they could rent a unit as well as live in a unit, and they would choose which one they prefer. Because some homeowners like being on second floors if they were still healthy enough. Because tenants, especially with kids, sometimes get a little noisy over your head. As my mama said, she got her building. She said, "We going to the second floor. I do not want the children that live downstairs and grandchildren's running over my head." So, but anyway, I was part of that project, and you all continue to extend helping homeowners to displace families out of the projects, get into homes and get into units of housing that were homes, instead of just going back into some big, huge affordable housing unit, which was mostly labeled projects, which they weren't. They were just places where people with marginal and income lived more than they were projects. But that's how they labeled them, and the systemic poverty was for a lack of service, not because of the people. And originally they were great places for people to build from. And then some dynamics change, which we may or may not get to in this segment. We'll get to in another one, like the Emancipated Youth Act for teenage mothers and things of that nature. But talk about some of those programs that you have helped create to help people get in homes, maintain homes, help people transition from projects, other struggling, poverty-filled units of housing, or doing the gentrification of the north side, near west side.
Correct.
How you help people move into housing versus being totally displaced, homeless, and potentially going into substandard housing. You help them go into good housing.
The housing program was called Scattered Sites.
Scattered Sites. Okay.
and it was supposed to do just that, put people in homes in different segments throughout the city of Chicago without displacing them. After taking them from the projects. And we're talking even Cabrini Green projects too. The people, they had them migrate to the inner west side.
Okay.
And on top of that, the city was, like you said, gouging our communities along the corridors of Western and Washington, Randolph, even going to Monroe and Adams. We have so many historical mansions that our grandparents owned on the west side of Chicago, which, Garfield Park did go all the way up to Western.
Right.
And now it's called New City. But
they renamed our communities.
That's what they
the
do
last 20 years.
to take the land from us.
And to price you out of them.
Price
go from 200,000 a unit to 200,000 per house to 200,000 per unit. The 2-3 story was 200,000 for the whole building. Now each unit in it is 250, 300,000 as condominiums. When they finish repurposing the neighborhood.
They repurposed the neighborhood by bringing in those condos. The lapse in that was that they did not really educate the potential homeowners of these condos on how to be homeowners within a building apartment structure of a building.
Right.
So you would still have people say, well, my apartment, well, no, it's your unit now. Call it your unit now. So it's educating people on that format too, but the scattered sites worked in the worst way at the end of it all, because it did not provide the adequate housing that it was supposed to do. What they did was they wound up transitioning a lot of people out of the city of Chicago into the surrounding suburbs, sending them far south. Park Forest, I think, was one of the townships way south, 200 south. University Park, way south by Governor's Highway. And then to the western suburbs, Plainfield was one of those spaces where they would use scattered sites just to put low-income families into communities of mixed income.
Okay.
So when we say scattered sites, that's what they were doing, scattering people around, which meant that you didn't even have the opportunity to maintain your culture within your community. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you go looking for what's something that we ate, I eat peanut butter and jelly all the time. We ate bologna all the time.
Right.
If you went looking for bologna, they would give you some kosher meat or something like that. It's like, wow, now I got to get used to eating what they eat. You wouldn't see the neck bones and ham hocks and all that stuff. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But the scattered site.
We started eating a lot more pasta.
Yeah.
A lot more
of spaghetti.
tacos.
And tacos.
A lot more Chinese food.
That too. Okay, so
everything was in the new community, but soul food.
But soul food, and now it's an appetizer for some. You know, it's ambiance. They, chitlins and whatnot.
Wow.
That's an enrichment, a delicacy. Yeah. Okay, and pig's feet.
Right. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
But we can go on and have another conversation.
The kale they used to throw away that now is one of the frying.
Now kale.
The mean green.
Yeah.
And your salad now.
That's what we're saying when when they put us out of our boundaries, out of our space that we're used to, they take away our culture. And that is what has happened to a lot of people. And I think our youth, some of them were defiant. I think a lot of the adults were defiant as well.
Okay.
And things just didn't work out. That was ended. And we still have land on the south side and right here in this area where projects used to be that they, in contracts with the city of Chicago, they assured us that they were going to rebuild.
Right.
For low rises, because you see it, I saw out in Cabrini Green. Cabrini Green got mixed with, they started building townhomes, $400,000 and $500,000 townhomes. You know that those weren't for us. In gated communities, near the same land where Cabrini Green, and then they lowered the towers for Cabrini Green and did all of the low rises, so nothing more than 3 stories. And then they changed the code to say, well, in order for you to come back in here to get a new lease, these are the new guidelines. And a lot of us did not qualify. And one of the big issues that we had to fight with the NAACP when we talk about discrimination was purposely stating that I'm a disabled grandma. My grandson, who just got caught up in some stupid selling marijuana, now he's out. My grandson needs to take care of me. But because he's a convict now, he can't live in my house over 24 hours. He can't stay here more than 24 hours. So who assists grandma? And now we don't have the social services that the city was providing for grandma or the seniors as well. So the NAACP had to really do something about that to show that not only were they breaking up the families, displacing the families, they were just creating just breaking down and putting up so many barriers that we didn't have an opportunity to stand our own ground. So it was deplorable to at the worst. It was deplorable. And fighting those programs, even getting them to come to a halt was a good thing. That meant that they had to stop all the wrongdoing and go back and recalibrate on what it was that they were trying to do for us in the first place. So reinvent that wheel, because that wheel doesn't work for us. And then you start having changes of guard, administrators change, elections come up, and everything's put on hold and whatnot. But we continue to fight the fight. If something comes up that we need to be fighting for, we're going to fight for it. Right now, we're letting people know that IDA has a program right now for first-time home buyers. Yay! Guess what? All of this land out here that's getting ready to be built on is going to be, we'll have properties, single families, 2 units, multi-units. Someone has to acquire them, but they're going to give us a piece of this pie of Chicago land, and then they're going to sell those homes to us. IDA has a program for those first-time home buyers.
Okay.
That's all I'll say about that.
Right.
Because, you know...
Well, Phylis, since I the first time, can I be first time again? Can I go from my 4-unit to a 2-unit or a 3-unit building as a first-time homeowner?
You can. It depends on what you have on the table right now. So, you can be an investor and still be a first-time home buyer.
Right, okay.
What we say, what enhances your life in real estate is when you start off with the 4-unit. You bought this 4-unit because you wanted mom in 1 unit, a brother in another unit, sister in another unit of yours. Okay, now you're tired of that. Now you go to a 2-unit.
Right.
Well, this works for me and the adult child. And mom and everybody else can stay over there. So now you're tired of your daughter, your child, your son, your daughter. Now you want to be in a single family.
Right.
Guess what? You now want to leave that crowded space with your daughter and put your other child on another floor and get your single family home.
You know, and I never asked this question, but
What's
I'm
that?
going to ask it
Go ahead.
now. Condominiums are also included as first-time
Yes.
homes.
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
know they are homes,
Yeah.
but they kind of got their own niche created and sometimes different rules on how they
Yeah.
operate.
Yeah.
They operate more like a co-op sometimes, but they actually, everybody owns their unit
Yeah,
and
yeah.
help make decisions on common
Yeah.
spaces.
Condos are
and
still
upkeep.
your
Right.
space.
Yes.
And what you pay into a kitty for is the upkeep of all of the open space. So if you got the hallways, who's going to manage and maintain the hallways? Who's going to take out the garbage? Who's going to mow the grass? Who's going to shovel the snow? Who's going to make sure your parking spot is clean when you get ready to go out there? You know, that's what we call them homeowners association fees. That's what those fees pay into. And you pay it according to the size of your unit. So if you've got 500 square feet and somebody else has 1,000 square feet of livable space inside of your unit, you're going to pay half of what they're paying because you got lesser footage space inside of your unit. So, but the HOAs is very important that people get educated on how their association operates. They need to be involved because let's say if the roof goes bad, now all of a sudden you got to replace a roof. Imagine a roof over a 20-unit building. It's a big roof and it has to cover a lot of material. Who's going to pay for that roof? Well, every owner has to pay a share according to their square footage into putting a new roof on that property. So everybody shares in the common area expense, so to speak.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
and,
right.
and people need to be
So
involved
it's
in
good
it.
information.
Yeah, they need to be involved because that building is there for you. You have a stakeholder. You're a stakeholder in that property. You own a share, so to speak. And it's just like you having a share of you're into Jay's potato chips. You want everybody to eat Jay's potato chip because you own stock, right?
Right.
That's the way the condo is. You own stock, so you want to be involved in that.
Nike just do it. Just wear them and just do it.
just
Make
do
your
it.
money
Just do
with
it.
Nike.
Just do it.
You know,
So,
and be
yeah.
glad you got out of Adidas if you grew up when I did.
There
It didn't last at the highest level. Number
But
3 is far cry
the
from
stock
Nike.
the stock is still there, though.
Right, yeah, it is still there, right.
We have an issue right now. Many
look
families.
affordable again.
Yeah, many families are complaining about property taxes. We
Right.
have
Oh, yeah.
2 bills that we're trying to get the state legislators to vote on, and one in the House and one in the Senate. I wish I could remember the numbers. Shame on me, but I'll get that back to Wilbert, and he can talk about it. But come November, we will need the state legislators to vote on these 2 bills to help combat property taxes. The only thing these 2 bills will do, one in the House and one in the Senate, they're similar to each other. We want the state legislators to have the Illinois Department of Revenue, who initiates the rates for our property taxes, to show us how they come up with that calculation.
Okay.
And these are just to have.
You mean the equalizer
Yeah,
factor they
yeah, all of
attach,
that, all of
especially
that.
in Cook County and
Yes.
some other areas, when
Yeah.
they say we may be undervaluing
Yeah.
homes, and they put the equalizer to bring it up to what they believe the
What they
market
believe.
should be.
Correct, what they believe.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
The-
based on appraisals. So I
Right.
always tell people in communities, especially communities that are gentrifying, your home, because you haven't been successful enough to be able to do all the upgrades to today's standards in your home. But I'm now selling my home and somebody's just buying my home and they done upgraded it to the hilt.
Right.
My home just sold for 3 times of what yours is worth right
Right.
now. Because my home just sold, it's now put into the equal equation to increase your property taxes. You know that, right? This is the part that we don't quite understand. How do they come up with this freaking number? But we can go all the way back to slavery when we were supposed to been handed 40 acres and a mule. They taxed us on it, and they taxed us right out of it.
Well, I tell you, the worst thing happened in the city bill is this thing called TIFs.
Yeah.
I've been with different community groups over 25 years, at least 25 years, fighting against the misuse and abuse of TIFs.
Of TIFs.
The most famous abuser of TIFs was Mayor Richard Daley. That young fella, who was very smart, had almost carte blanche.
Carte blanche.
He was the king of Chicago, literally. And Little Richie picked some of the best advisors from everywhere in the country to come run Chicago. And what they did with the TIF was he used it for personal projects all over Chicago, except most of the neighborhoods that was paying into the TIFs.
And the purpose for the tax increment financing was to let them build, but build to help preserve the community.
Right.
And invest in the community. That's what the TIF dollars were initially for.
But the worst part, Phyllis, is, and we haven't really got to that important part, it's only homeowners bearing the financial burden of TIFs. It's sometime 100,000 people live in the district of the TIF, but only the 20,000 homeowners are paying for the TIF.
That's correct.
They're being taxed for their homes to help pay the TIF, but it's 100,000 people in the community of the TIF, or it's 150, 200,000 people. So all of those adults, should be paying. And if you take the $1,800 I'm paying on my house this year in the city, on a TIF. Don't mind the TIF, but why I don't have all the tenants and everybody else paying $20 so I don't have to pay $1,800. I can pay $20 along with the other 150,000 people in the TIF area.
And I say
versus us 10,000, 15,000 homeowners paying all of that, $1,800,
I'm gonna go
$1,000, $2,000.
I'm going to blame our legislators. It doesn't matter what color, what nationality, what race they are. Our legislators
definitely on this
are the ones who are beholden to the policies that we have to live by. And half the time they don't read half the freaking bills that they sign into law. And they find out after we find out. We're first
reading fundamental, and they don't do the fundamental.
Okay, we have to go back to how bills are made. You know, but
they got it off Channel 11. They don't want us to really know the process.
Now they want to take away Big Bird. Okay, but you know what, you need to.
Sesame Street and Electric Company taught a lot of us how to read, write, and think.
That's right.
And then they used to tell us how the bills was made. It was only a bill, but very important the process of
you know, I just pulled up that commercial, that track last week for somebody else, for another little kid of mine. So
it's great.
But when we talk about the policies that oversee everything that we do, that dictate how we live day by day. But then we have to go back to, like I tell my family members, if I'm only making $10 and you're making $10, but the cost of the milk is $25, we can't even buy the milk.
Right, we can't
buy the milk. So we have a problem there. And at the end of the day, I don't care what anybody says, if you don't increase the income, the cost of living keeps going up here. It's always going to be poor people.
Right.
And you're always going to be able to take advantage of poor people. We've got to learn how to get educated, whatever we need to do, get training or something to help build up our future financial wealth. Pay me what I'm worth. And if you can't show me that you're worth, why should I pay you?
Right.
So, you know, we got some issues there too.
Yeah,
but it's the cost of living that's eroding everything that happens in the low-income communities as well as the black and brown communities.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think one thing we do have to give legislators some credit for on minimum wage in Illinois and Chicago is substantially higher than the national federal minimum wage that has not moved in over 25 years. It's the same as it was when I was half my age. And the cost of living has went up at least 3% every year for however long, for 25 years. So stuff costs 75% more on average, at least 75% more, but the wages are still federally, and then there's some other states,
Yeah,
southern
southern
states, and
states.
some western, northern states where they operate primarily off federal minimum wage.
Yeah.
So those people are in what we call in our city and state systemic poverty.
Poverty. That's
There's
correct.
no way out of that. Even with two, like she said, 3 salaries, sometimes you barely making it
Yeah.
to what they call affordable living.
Yeah, and that's just for the food.
Right.
Now, if once we calculate in the house and the gas, the utilities, transportation, going to the doctor, all of that's eroded because we can't afford it. So that's why you will always have a population of poor people.
Right.
And I'm tired of them saying or feeding off of poor people because that's
Right.
what our elected officials do.
All right. And one thing I hope we change is how some unions have carte blanche on all new developments, where no matter how well they work and how well they function, because some of them take advantage of their union rights and do less work, they get carte blanche on all new developments, and we need to have carpenters on all levels, plumbers and everything created in all these communities that they redevelop in. And our legislators got to make sure that we get carpenters in all our poor communities out of all these developments.
But the problem is with
And-
that is that most of our youth are not qualified even for the jobs to go into apprenticeship programs. So who are we hiring? Who's coming? Who are we building up?
If we
So,
do the training and stop teaching them how to be cooks, just cooks,
yeah,
and just housekeepers, and just how to wax a floor, and we teach them the math and get them the extra tutoring
Okay.
for the math, so that they can then properly get through apprenticeship programs.
it's going to be the
Because-
Wilbert Cook School.
Right, and we
Rock
got to
knowledge.
stop just talking about math and theory and
Yeah.
start teaching it like some of our teachers did back then, practically.
Yeah, yeah.
See, if you tie the math to the right angle to how you build the table, or the globe and the pie to the globe
Yeah.
in this particular unit of a piece of lamp you want to build. That kid interest in what
Yeah.
pi is in the circumference
Correct.
becomes a lot different than you just telling him in theory this this figure, that figure, and it has no connection. But when you connect it to how they live,
Yeah.
or if you connect it to how you get a salary and a payroll, I think so many, and I know they have learned so much better that way. Or even take grammar and English and apply it to some of the
That's right.
rap music.
That's
How
right.
to do
That's right.
conjunction function used to
Yeah.
be on
Yeah,
Channel
there you
11.
go. There you
Then
go.
it's some people that set stuff to rap music to teach about conjunction functions. And participle phrases and all that, and the kids ate up the auditorium. We had
Adjectives,
2
nouns,
incidents where
verbs.
we used to have one every 5 minutes. We had 2 incidents in 2 hours.
2 hours.
Because the guy put that little rap music underline talking about English.
We didn't do
so
this.
so if we
Yeah.
keep doing things like
Yeah.
that to get their interest, we'll have them learning as well as they ever did.
And I just want to say, some of the views out of his mouth and my mouth are our views.
Oh yeah,
His
they definitely
and
are.
mine.
But they make sense.
They
some
make a
of
lot
them.
of sense, and we've learned a lot,
Right.
which is why we can talk about it
Yeah,
today. So
yeah,
not to take anything
yeah.
from anybody, but
We
those are
pay
our views.
attention.
We pay attention.
And we are solution oriented.
Thank
So
you.
we mentioned the problem,
Yeah.
but we also, is trying to
Yeah.
present some solutions
Solutions.
that we see viable for our communities.
Without a doubt.
And thank you all. It's been another one. Oh man, that went so fast.
It
But
did.
when you're having fun and you helping share information with people. So, Hand Up Recovery Home's primary purpose is to help people recover from alcoholism, substance abuse, and any other services. We will promote you with the best agencies across Chicagoland area, Cook County. But give us a ring or hit us up with an email, and we'll try to get to you within 24 hours and sometime within a couple hours.
There you go.
All right. It's been a
Thank
plum
you.
pleasing pleasure to have you,
Thank
Phylis
you.
Logan,
Thank you.
again.
Thank you.
And with all that great knowledge, and let us continue to put people in homes. I
Yes.
teach them how to stay in homes,
Yes.
but most of all, how to live better no matter what
That's right.
situation they coming from
That's
and evolving into.
Amen to that.
Amen.
Okay.
Be blessed.
Be blessed.